Welcome back, Pokefans, to the Pokemon Astra Adventures 2 Nuzlocke playthrough. If you haven't already, then go and watch the previous episode so you can see everything that's gone on so far, as we are pretty much near the end now. So as we've got our 8 gym badges, we've now got to go and make our way through Victory Road. We also need to get Moltres, because that's what Team Astra are going for as well, which is obviously going to be in Victory Road. We also just picked up a Pidgeotto. That wasn't there when we came here earlier on in the playthrough, so it's making me think, do I need to go and check other places for Megastones? But we can get an encounter here as well, because we didn't get one before, and we decided to get a Nidoqueen because we did have a Nidoking before, but it got knocked out. Nidoqueen clearly didn't want to stay in its ball, so we needed to be able to weaken it, and as you can see, it's still been a little bit of a pain, but persistence will pay off eventually. And in fact, one time a ball does the job. We go ahead and call it Nikki. Don't ask me why, but I did it all in caps. Probably wasn't paying attention when I did it. And after that, he drops a poison gem and some extra large EXP candies, which are going to come in useful for when we need to do some leveling up. Then we can put our badges into this door. But before we do that, our rival Andy appears and says that we need to prove that we can beat him before we can take on Team Astra. If we lose, then he takes our 8th gym badge and continues on in our place. Now, we are quite a few levels ahead here because I looked at the docs to see what our level cap would need to be for the Elite Four, and I think it's 90, which is what the champion's strongest Pokemon is. And I wasn't expecting it to be too much, but obviously there must be, seeing as we're so many levels ahead of our rival. So this shouldn't be too bad. We do realise how good Lola the Slowbro is here as well though, because it takes out quite a few of his Pokemon. Steelix goes down to 2 Surfs. Then up next, Andy sends out a Gengar, and Gengar takes the same fate. Don't know why he hit me with a Psychic instead of a Ghost move, but we take it out in a single Psychic. Up next, he sends out a Snorlax, and I contemplate going into Agatha for when he goes for a Body Slam, but I know he's got Crunch more than likely, which in fact is what he goes for, so it's a good job that we didn't switch. He can't really hit us though because we're bulky, so we just get a few Calm Minds up, and then the plan is to sweep. I think we went all the way to 6 Calm Minds, and then he actually paralyses us. Thankfully though, we don't actually get paralysed and we can slack off. We do get paralysed the time after though, so we go for another slack off just to avoid the crit. And then a single Psychic at +6 takes it out. Next up is Jolteon. We take a Shadow Ball quite well, seeing as we're +6 special defense as well. And then a Psychic takes that out. Dragonite's Dual Wing Beat does about half, but a single Psychic takes that out. Then he has a Charizard X, which paralyzes us with a Fire Punch. I didn't want to take the risk, so I switched into Roxy, and we take a Dragon Claw quite well. He then goes for a Dragon Dance, and a single Earthquake can take it out. And there you go, there's that battle done. Now that we've beat him, he gives us permission to carry on. I mean, why didn't he just go and get the 8th gym badge himself? So now we can actually make our way into Victory Road, where we get another encounter. So we're going to use the Super Repel, so we can kind of cherry pick our encounter rather than a random Pokemon. There are also going to be quite a few tough battles in here because Victory Road's always notoriously known for being hard. But we pick up our first item, which is a Max Repel. There's also places that you can do digging as well. We can't get into this area yet because the guy's blocking it off, so I need to remember to come back at a later date to check that. We then pick up a Revive and we head into our first battle. So this is a cool trainer, Rolando, and he leads off with an Exeggutor. Not very good for Lola, but Solar Beam, thankfully, is a 2-turn move, and we quad resist it with Drew, and 2 wing attacks can take it out. Up next is Electivire, who's holding an air balloon, but we switch out into Roxy. Thunder Punch doesn't do any damage because we hit ground, and Fire Punch we resist as well. So we get off a Rock Slide, and then Earthquake can take it out to finish it off. Up next is a Golduck. We don't really have a Grass or Electric Pokemon, so we go out into Bugsy because he resists quite a few moves. He hits us with a Yawn, we get off an Xyz, and then we need to switch out because I don't want to be asleep. We can then go out to Lola, who absolutely tanks a Hydro Pump and an Ice Beam, and finishes it off with Psychic. Then comes Charizard, which turns out is Charizard Y. He's now set off the sun as well, so Surf doesn't even do half, and Heat Wave did quite a bit to say we resist it. We're now in a pickle of what do we go out into that can do damage but also not take too much. Air Slash did quite a bit, but we're quicker and Dragon Claw can take it out. Then comes Rhypheria, which if the sun was enough, Lola would definitely one hit KO with Surf. Rock Slide did quite a bit, and then we take a risk, and Earthquake takes us down to 19 HP before we get off a Slack Off. Rock Slide again does quite a bit, but then a Slack Off pretty much full heals us, and now we can just hit it with a Surf, and it does go down in one hit. So that's the first of many battles, so we continue on. We can also find Hitmonchan here, but we've already got one because we evolved our Tyrogue into one. We pick up the Max Potion and head on into another battle. So another cool trainer, Alexa, who's got an Electrode. Again, not a good lead for Lola. So we switch out into Roxy, and thankfully he goes for Thunder. He sets up a light screen, but then goes down to an Earthquake. Up next is Blastoise. So we switch out into Lola because it can't really hit us with anything, and it's actually a Mega Blastoise. Water Pulse does not do much, and now the plan is to just set up as many Calm Minds as I can. It does also have Aura Sophia, but because we're Psychic we resist that as well, and I think we end up going for 4 Calm Minds in the end before we attack. Ice Beam we also resist as well, and now we're at +4, we can go for a Psychic and we're guaranteed to take it out. It does confuse us though with Water Pulse, and I forgot that there was a light screen up, so we only actually did half. But after we eventually hit it again, we'll take it out. We was getting a little bit low, and I don't understand why it didn't go for Dark Pulse more often, seeing as how much damage it was doing. But then eventually we hit it with a Psychic. Up next is Vileplume, and again, instead of going for a Grass move, it goes for Poison, and that goes down to a single Psychic. Then comes Dugtrio. Rock Slide does get a flinch, but it's not doing too much damage, and then a single Surf takes it out. Then comes Porygon 2. I'm sure these normally have Thunderbolt, so I'm surprised it didn't go for that, but it suffers the same fate of going down to a single Surf. So now we've got 2 different ways we can go. There's stairs up there, but we can't get there now because that guy stopped us and Lickitung's blocking the other way. So we head into this battle, and it's actually not a bad lead. Lola can take out Arcanine with a single Surf. Up next comes Jolteon, so we switch out into Roxy, the Rhyhorn, who takes a Hyper Beam. Thankfully it's a 2-hit move as well, so we hit it with an Earthquake and it just survives. Then Shadow Ball doesn't do too much, and we can finish off with Rock Slide. Then comes Gyarados, and we have to switch out. We go out into Bugsy because I know that these usually have Crunch as well. It's also got Life Orb. It then sets up a Dragon Dance. Waterfall doesn't do enough to take us out, and we can take it out. Then comes Hitmontop, so we need to switch. and our best flying Pokemon, which is Dragonite, comes out, tanks a close combat, and retaliates with an Acrobatics, which is 110 base power because we haven't got a held item. Tauros hits us with a Rock Slide, which did quite a lot of damage. So after an Acrobatics we have to switch out into Lola. Lola's also a bit of a physical tank, and it takes the Rock Slide quite well and retaliates with Surf to take it out. So now we head down here, pick up the Ultra Ball, surf across the water to get the TM, which is Thunder Wave. Not much use really. I was waiting for the Golbat to move out of my way, but I should have remembered it was a dupe anyway because we've already got a Crobat. So then we continue on and we find this little entrance here. Turns out this is where Team Astra is, so Moltres must be close. So for the sake of the video, I've cut all the battles with Team Astra into one rather than moving from one to the next. I think there's 3 in total, and then that's it. So leading off, they start off with a Kingler, which hits Dragonite with an Ice Hammer, nearly KOing it. I did have a little bit of a mini heart attack when I saw it come out with an Ice Hammer. We have to switch into Roxy, who takes Fearo's attack very well, and then it goes for Dragon Dance. I'm pretty sure it never learns that, but we take down the first grunt. Next up's a Seeking, and I didn't get a chance to heal in between because we were already in his view after that battle. So Dragonite's not going to be of any use in this battle. We set up some Calm Minds with Lola because I realised this Seeking can't really do anything. It does have Static Stinger, but it's not Stab and it's not the strongest of moves anyway. Up next comes Electrode, and that does have a lot of power. So we switch out into Roxy. It's got a berry that reduces the damage, but Earthquake still takes it out. And then the last Astral Grunt leads off with a Magmar. Magmar and Electabuzz in this game are annoying. More than likely they're holding Eviolites, so they are very tanky and still hit quite hard. I realised though that this Magmar can't really do too much to Lola, and 2 Surfs can take it out. Up next is a Lickitung, and I decided to go out into Bugsy, hoping he hasn't got Fire Punch. It just goes for disables though, and then an X-Scissor can finish it off. After the battle, we witness another one of the admins from Team Astra capturing Moltres. He mentions that they've got a special ball called an Astra Ball, which I'm assuming is basically a Master Ball because it catches every Pokemon without fail. He then jokes about us joining Team Astra to say that he sent us another Australian, but obviously we're not bad guys, so we won't be joining Team Astra. And then I was a little bit like, okay, so what do we do now? And I just decided to continue on through Victory Road, where we head on into another battle here. So another cool trainer, and this one leads off with Mr. Rhyme, which I couldn't remember what typing it actually was, but I think it's Ice Psychic. He baton passes out into Rapidash, which we know is going to go for a fire move, so we switch into Luna. It burns us, which I think is 10% chance with Flare Blitz, but thankfully we're not physical attacker and the Surf can take out Rapidash. Next up is Leafeon, so we switch and go into Drew. He then goes for a Swords Dance, and I'm thinking, oh my god, what is this going to do? But he just goes for a double kick. We go for 2 Dragon Dances, and then now we can just do as much damage as possible. Firefang takes it out, Farfetch comes out next, Firefang takes that out in one hit. Then the Venomoth, that goes down to a wing attack, and then Mr. Rhyme will go down to a single Firefang. And that was an easy battle in the end. Next up is another cool trainer who leads off with a Hitmonchan. Now these can be scary because they can have all the elemental moves, but we outspeed and then acrobatics can take it out. Then comes Cloyster, so we switch into Bugsy because I remembered from when I used to watch competitive play that Scizor absolutely walls Cloyster. A Meteor Mash does just over half, and as you can see, it's not really doing too much to us. And then an X Scissor finishes it off. Then comes Kangaskhan, which is again another Pokemon that you don't know what it's going to have. So we go out into Roxy, it goes for a Fire Punch, and then a Hammer Arm takes it out in one hit. Then comes Muck, and it goes for an Ice Punch, gets the freeze, which was quite annoying because we would have probably taken that out. We then switch into Lola. Shadow Sneak doesn't do too much, and then we can just go for a Psychic, just about survives, and then a Surf can finish it off. The last Pokemon is a Sylveon, and I decided to give Agatha some screen time because I don't think I've used the Mega yet. Mystical Fire does drop our special attack though, which was a little bit annoying. So we Mega Evolve and go for a Sludge Bomb. Just about survives. We take a Shadow Ball quite well, and then we can finish it off with another Sludge Bomb. So after the battle, we pick up the full heal and continue on. We see a Hitmonlee, but it's not something I want to use because I've always preferred Hitmonchan. We contemplate avoiding this trainer, but we thought I might as well battle it anyway. And it's another cool trainer who leads off with Weezing. We go ahead and hit it with Acrobatics, but it's got a red card, so it ejects us out into Agatha. We switch back out into Claire, and it just decides to set up another load of Toxic Spikes, so Acrobatics takes it out. I needed to get rid of the Toxic Spikes, so I switched that into Agatha, who's a poison type, so we can soak them up, and Vaporeon thankfully just goes for Wish. I realised that Vaporeon can't really do anything to Lola, so perfect time for us to set up our Calm Minds. I think I'll go ahead and go for 5, realising that this really can't do anything to us. It's got Scald, Icy Wind, Wish, and we're pretty much healing the damage that it's doing to us. I decided to go for a Slack Off just to be as close to full HP as we can, and then we hit it with a Psychic and it goes down in one hit. Up next is a Steelix, and it just sets up Stealth Rock. It doesn't even have Sturdy, so a single Surf takes that out as well. Then comes Blissey, and I know how much of a special defense tank this is, so I just switched out into Roxy. It goes for Flamethrower, which we resist, and then a single Hammer Arm shreds it. Then comes Parasect, which sets up the rain. We go for a Rock Slide and take it out. In fact, no we don't, it survives with Focus Sash. And then I'm thinking it's probably going to have something like Water Pulse, but it just goes for a Leech Seed. We've switched into Bugsy anyway, because it can't really do too much to us. It does go for Protect as well to get off 2 lots of Leech Seed healing, but Bullet Punch can take it out anyway. Thankfully, after this battle, we run into a Golbat, and I remember that it's a Dupes, so we haven't got to catch it. It does give us a Wiki Berry and some XL candies though. And then we run into another trainer battle, and I'm starting to run quite low on healing items. Leads off with a Slowking, which I've got a feeling has got an Ice move, but it just goes for Psychic. We switch out into Bugsy anyway, and a single X Scissor can take it out in one hit. Then comes Flareon, which we know is now going to go for a Fire move, so we switch out into Lola, and it does in fact go for Flare Blitz. It then goes for Dig, which is a little bit annoying, but then when we hit it with a Surf, we take it out in one hit. Up next is Licky Licky, so we switch out into Roxy. Goes for Rock Slide, which we resist, and then a Hammer Arm takes it down to a Sliver. then switches out into a Machamp, and this is a scary Pokemon. He goes for Ice Punch, which scared the life out of me, so I switch out into Drew. It then freezes us, hits us with a Rock Slide, taking us down to the red, and I'm really in panic stations now. We go into Lola, who tanks Rock Slide quite well. It takes another Rock Slide, hits with a Sidekick and takes it out in one hit. Thank God we brought Lola with us. Then comes Licky Licky, hits us with a Power Whip which takes us into the red, but then we finish it off with a Surf. Then comes Berserker, and because my team's quite weakened, I was a little bit worried here, especially when Ironhead did so much damage to Roxy. So the only healthy Pokemon I've got are Bugsy and Agatha. We switch out into Bugsy, it hits us with an Ironhead which thankfully we resist. And it must be locked in. I'm assuming it was choice banded, but then it hits us with a Rock Slide. But thankfully it can't really hurt Bugsy. I then decided that now is the time to go back and get some healing items, because I'm not too sure how much further we've got to go. On the way back, we realised that we can go right as well, so we take on this trainer first. She leads off with a Golem, so we got into Lola. Again, it's not doing too much damage to us. It sets up a Stealth Rock, Surf breaks its sturdy, and then it hits us with a Sucker Punch before going down to Surf. Then he sends out Scizor, so we switch out into Drew. We take quite a lot of damage though from them Stealth Rocks, but thankfully it's 4 times weak and Fire Fang takes it out in one hit. Then comes Raichu, so we switch out into Roxy, and it hits us with a Thunder which we resist, but then it's got Surf, which absolutely decimates us. Who would have knew that a Raichu could learn Surf? So we've lost Roxy. I send out Bugsy to get revenge, takes Focus Blast well, and Scizor takes it out in one hit, but I'm absolutely fuming. Next up comes Kingdra, so we go out into Lola. Again, it's a Pokemon that can't really do any damage to us. It goes for Ironhead, which I never expected. Then Draco Meteor, we slack off to re-heal, and now it's at -2 special attack, so we just set up some Calm Minds. It also sets a rain for us as well. Hits us with a Waterfall, but we resist it, and a single Psychic takes it out. Next up's Venusaur, turns out to Mega Venusaur as well. Hits us with an Earthquake rather than a Grass move, and a single Psychic can finish that off. Now after that battle, we end up walking into this Machoke because there's no other way to avoid it. So it looks like this is what our encounter is going to be for Victory Road. Licky is who has replaced Roxy. Thankfully he's got moves that doesn't KO Machoke, so we dwindle it down with some crunches and then just throw Pokeballs at it. We actually catch it with our first Ultra Ball as well. We go ahead and call it Bruno, who is one of the Elite Four of the original Kanto. He also has a Machamp as well. It drops a Figgy Berry and some XL candies, and then once we're fully healed we can carry on. We then go ahead and run into this Golbat, which drops a Wiki Berry and some XL candies. We then pick up this item, which is a rare candy and also a full restore, and then we can continue on back to the exit if we can find it. On the way I decide to encounter all the Pokemon so we can pick up the XL candies, because we're going to need it for levels or to train up if we lose a Pokemon. We get a Shucker Berry and some XL candies off that Rhyhorn. I think a lot of these berries are where they produce super effective moves. Licky Tongue drops a normal gem. and then Hitmonlee over here goes ahead and drops Mago Berry, which again I think is a reducing super effective damage berry. We then go ahead and take on this Rhyhorn to see what this drops, and it drops the Protector. So we could have actually got a Rhypheria, but I wanted an Eviolite so we could put it on the Rhyhorn, but we lost it before we got to the Elite Four. Once we get to Elite Four, we find Looker, who basically says that we can't take on the Elite Four yet because they've got a challenger, and we need to go on and take Team Astra's admins, which are apparently in the Saffron Sewers, which, if I remember right, there was a lot of doors when we went through before, so it turns out they've actually got some use. So we just head into the Elite Four Pokemon Center just to see what they sell. And we've got an NPC here who sells all the choice band items, a lot of good items. So when we got the money, we'll come back and buy them, and some good TRs as well. So we're actually gonna end the episode there. Obviously, next episode will probably be our last, unless the whole Team Astra admins takes a long time. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope to see you all for the possible finale. Peace out.